We are very excited to be here. So thank you everyone for joining, and thanks to Encore and the team for having us. And today we're going to be talking about building a successful recruitment brand online and some of those must-have marketing strategies to make you more successful online, because there truly is a recipe to this. And if you follow that recipe, you will be more successful than what you are today. Rick, do you want to say hello?
Yes, thank you for having us, Encore, and yeah, great to be here. And we love sharing our insights and knowledge with recruitment firms to become better and stronger in 2022, to take advantage of all the things that we can offer and to make you more successful. So great to be here.
Thank you. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about how do you create a solid foundation for your recruitment brand to be more successful across the World Wide Web. We're going to talk about some insights as to your reputation as a business online, your listings, where they appear, and all about the ability of getting reviews and why you should get them. Social media, some tips there around using social to get to your audience. And the most important one, search engine optimization. How can you become a leader in your niche and be found in the first place? We're going to talk about a few different tools that can help you get there as well. So there is a lot to do to become successful online, and it can be quite daunting, but you need to start somewhere. So we talk about, online covers many things. Your website is paramount. It's the foundation, or it should be the foundation that supports everything else you do across the World Wide Web. And then you start bringing in things like social media, online marketing, and then start really narrowing down into search engine optimization so that search engines are driving relevant traffic to your brand. Google is influenced by so many different factors. We're going to take you through a few of those today. And as I mentioned, there is a recipe here. So if you follow some of these tips, it's going to help you really navigate through this landscape.
So so I guess the way we've looked at this today is that your recruitment website, we feel, is the starting point of anything that you do digital. And the reason we're saying that is that obviously the whole idea of having a digital strategy is to make sure all the traffic, all the leads, all the branding comes back to your brand. Now, if you, for example, post on social, ideally they go back to your website. If you're doing something on LinkedIn, they go back to your website. So the whole idea is that your website becomes the center of the universe for your brand. And you need to make sure that obviously that is a solid foundation. And today we'll cover sort of how to turn your recruitment website into a solid foundation that attracts both clients, candidates, and people who want to work for you as recruitment consultants. So firstly here is, we talk about the architecture, and it's a bit like the foundation of a house. If you have a badly built foundation, everything else is going to crumble on top of that. So it's the same for your website to get what we call the ideal recruitment site architecture. And the way you look at it is, as Nicole's pointing out, is you need to have a stream for candidates that talk about candidate things. So construction jobs, traffic management jobs, so that search engines can understand that you're a recruitment site having construction jobs. Most recruiters that don't understand sort of the importance of that end up with a page called construction. Now, a search engine will go, what do you do in construction? Are you a construction company? And that's why you need to simulate with what you have on your website with what people are searching. So a client looking for a recruitment consultant or recruitment firm is going to type in construction recruitment firm or construction recruitment agency Melbourne. So if you don't have that content, you're not going to be found. So it's quite natural to have that flow. So what we're recommending is having a stream for clients, candidates, and for people working for your business as well.
And then each of those pages, just to highlight on those two, build out the content. So if it's legal jobs, the page talks about the fact that you fill great legal jobs. It has the recruiter or the recruiters that specialize in legal pulling through to that page. It has the jobs that you've got in legal pulling through to that page. So it becomes an ecosystem within itself, so that the search engines pick it up when someone clicks on it. They land on that page and they think, oh my gosh, this is exactly what this company does, even though you might have a few different areas that you specialize in. So it's about creating content to drive relevant traffic. And we'll show you some stats soon why this is so important, because there are so many searches going on.
Yeah. And it ideally should all be automated, so that when you do post a new job in accounting, that it flows to the pages that have the accounting jobs on there. So everything should be very fluid and automated.
Yeah, not needing to be manually manipulated by you, definitely. Mobile experiences, look, we don't have to say anything about this. Mobile experiences are so important these days, and they're going to get more and more important. People, we already know, 90% of job seekers use a mobile phone to search for jobs. So that experience needs to be perfect. Ideally, what you should be able to do is have a beautiful website that has lots of content on there, logos, information about your business, testimonials, etc., that people love to see. But your mobile experience should be able to be customized independently of the desktop, even though it's one site. So getting rid of the clutter, being able to hide particular things on a mobile device, so you can get rid of the things that are more, aesthetically appealing on a big screen, and really focus on getting to the details on a mobile.
Now, talking about the sort of furthering the ideal recruitment site architecture. So here specifically what we're looking at is the most important page as far as Google's concerned, which is the job detail page. So obviously, recruiters have regular new jobs, and that becomes very powerful content. So rather than having to write ongoing blog articles to add new content, for most businesses, recruiters are lucky that every day or every week they've got multiple jobs. So you need to make sure that you take advantage of having those new jobs by making sure that from a technical perspective they're put onto your site in a most effective way. Now what that means is that a page is made up of a number of things. So not wanting to get too technical, but we've sort of documented it here. You need to have a meta title, a URL, and an H1 and body text that is all in line with what that job is about. So that again should be done automatically. So in this case, your meta title should be construction laborer. So that's the sort of the top level. Then you've got your URL that also should contain that job title. And then you've got your H1, which is, what is this page about? And then you need to have some social sharing and similar jobs. So if a search engine, or when a search engine crawls this page, there is no doubt in their technical sense that this page is about construction laborers. So that's sort of how a search engine looks at pages on your site. And if you don't have this, as we'll see in a second, you really start to be penalized, because in some cases that we've seen, the search engine totally ignores it because every page is called exactly the same jobs, for example, and they don't know you've got 100 different jobs because every job is named the same. So very important to get this page right.
Yeah, and often, good point on that, Rick, often some companies, especially if they've just started out early in the piece, they'll often have the ATS or the database driving the job board experience and the job apply experience. So important now, it's very easy to integrate the applicant tracking system with the website so that all your jobs are sitting on your URL. So you don't want your jobs or your job board not being on your brand. That could be a jobs dot or a careers dot. It needs to be your brand / the jobs. Really, really important. Leading us to landing and campaign pages. So when we're thinking, it's a very tight candidate market at the moment. Everywhere there's a war for talent. So the only way that you're going to be successful is if you do things differently to other people. Start thinking outside of the square. You know, it's this post and pray mentality. Like, I just post a job on a job board and no one uses my website. And you need to start thinking about your website as that foundation to drive all the traffic, as Rick mentioned earlier. And a great way is by creating campaign and landing pages. Now, you can create these for a multitude of reasons. I just quickly mocked up a demo, one of finance talent, we need you. And it might be for myself as a recruiter. I'm working with CommBank and I'm going to lock this page down. And I want to put CommBank's EVP on there because I've got this role as a retained search role. So I can brand CommBank on here. So you can think about talking to your clients about, we believe recruitment is marketing. To do that successfully, we need to think differently. We want to go after the people we know are perfect for your opportunities. We're going to create a page, and that page could be locked down. So the candidate needs a passcode to get in to see it. And then you can share it through LinkedIn and say, you know, hey, Nuam, you're one of 10 people we've chosen to be perfect for this opportunity. If you want to know more, let me know. I'll send you the passcode. And Nuam's like, oh, wow, this sounds pretty cool. And she comes in and sees this page. So that's one example. I do have sort of very hard to fill tight roles and sort of exec recruiters also promoting candidates on these pages. If they come across a great candidate, they'll actually create a page for them, lock it down, and then reach out to their clients to say, hey, we've got a great person. Would you like to know more? I can give you the passcode. So lots of different user cases. You can also create them for locations, all the jobs in Melbourne, for instance, or all the Christmas casual jobs, or, you know, whatever it is, you can or you should be able to customize and create these easily and drive traffic. QR codes, another one. Think outside the square as well with QR codes. Everyone's so used to scanning them now. I've just created a banner that we're taking to an event that's got a QR code on it to drive traffic through to our website. We're also going to put one on our business card. You can put them in print material. People are even using them on website pages. So yeah, it's very easy to create QR codes now on your website. When you go to the page that you would like to create a QR code for, right click on it. It's now a Google functionality where you can turn that page into a QR coded page. So yeah, good one to think about.
Moving on to something, again, Google. It's about Google My Business and listings. So it's surprising how powerful the Google My Business listing is in terms of how businesses are seen online and how it can single-handedly improve SEO. Some people claim it's somewhere between 7 and 13% improvement if you have a great Google My Business page with all of the things on there that are so crucial to the end user. So Google likes to, you know, pretend it's the end user. So what would I like to know? You know, I'd like to know how other people view you. So have reviews on there. So make sure that you can get reviews and make sure that you answer the reviews, whether they're good or bad. We'll go into that in a second. Add continual updates to it. So add photos, add event updates, pictures, etc. It has close to 90 billion visits every month, Google. It is by far the #1 in the world. I think its share of search is about 95%. The others are just, you know, insignificant in comparison to Google. So make sure that you take Google as your sort of your #1 validation of who you are. Have a look at it yourself. Make sure you can access the account, add updates, add everything that you can possibly do so that when people Google your name, you come up in a profile like we're showing you for Shazamme. Make sure it's as big and as correct as possible with everything on it that people would want to know. So that is absolutely a no cost, very little effort, powerful way to get your brand well established online.
Yeah, and you should be posting to Google My Business just like you do to LinkedIn all the time, because that content comes up on Google. Google My Business is free. If you haven't checked that out yet, there are a lot of companies that still aren't utilizing that free functionality. go and set up your account. As Rick mentioned, it doesn't cost you anything, and it will help you come up above your competitors. A little bit more around this. So when we talk about Google My Business, it is really important. 70% of people, the latest statistics are saying that are more likely to engage with you because you have a presence online, and your reputation, your listings, start asking for reviews. Reviews really build trust. In being able to reach out to the candidates that you place to leave your reviews, or even your clients, will give that trust, just like a personal recommendation. And it does make up a big chunk of your SEO as well. In the past, recruiters have been a bit anxious to ask for reviews because they're worried about getting the occasional bad one. Just the biggest point on this, don't stress if you do get a bad review. It's all about how you respond. Keep it positive, take it offline if you need to. Just react, even though sometimes it's difficult, as professionally as you possibly can. People do still trust reviews if there's the occasional bad one. It just means that your company is real, and yeah, they're definitely worth getting for a multitude of reasons.
Moving on to maps now. So unlike SEO, where the search engines come to your website and crawl it and find the content on there, maps are slightly different. And the reason we've covered this is that it's about voice search. So 50% of teens and 41% of adults use voice search more than once a day. So think about using your phone to say, take me or find me a dry cleaner in Neutral Bay, or take me to XYZ, or find me a legal recruiter in Brisbane. So this is totally different to SEO. So what this is about is making sure that you have coverage. And the reason we've got all of the mainstream platforms and search engines on here, being Google, Apple, Bing, and Amazon Alexa, is that each of their voice search engines, so if you use Siri, it uses Apple Maps. If you use a Google device or Google voice search, it uses Google Maps, etc. So that's why it's important to make sure that your brand is actually listed in all four map engines: Yelp, Google, Apple, and Bing. So that if people do search on Alexa, you do get found, or Siri, etc. So very important. We tried this out when we were in Brisbane some months ago, and we just said legal recruiter Brisbane, only 2 came up. So it does show there's a lot of opportunity. Again, it's free, and it just helps your SEO and your overall search engine positioning improve.
And just a quick screen here, Rick mentioned this before, but why Google? It is the leader. There are other search engines. However, if you're doing well on Google, you can pretty much rest assured you'll be doing well on the other search engines. This is the stat that I really wanted to highlight that's so important, why your brand online and your website is so important. 30% of searches that go on Google are job related. So you really need to make sure that you're utilizing the opportunity to put your brand front and center so that the right people are finding you when the searches go on. Just some stats here, 14% of people are getting their jobs via social media. So that's why, a lot of people stick to LinkedIn. You've got a real audience that we'll show you in a sec on other platforms that you can be getting into. And it's the more passive candidates as well, which is good. People are spending a lot more time online. People are trusting online reviews. The population on Facebook, which we'll show you, has increased dramatically and is continuing to grow. It's a very complex sort of ecosystem with all of these pieces, but once again, bring it back to, if you can start with a solid foundation and then build from there, you're going to start kicking some major goals. Social, to be found, use as many channels as you possibly can. Ideally, you don't want to be wasting too much time on that though. So we'll talk a bit further down about, there are tools now where you can post once and send it everywhere, even to all of your recruiter profiles and your company pages. So you can share news quite quickly to multiple platforms and multiple people. Don't rely solely on LinkedIn. Start thinking outside of the square. and playing around, because you might be very pleasantly surprised with the responses that you get. Explore and test stuff. Measuring's the biggest thing. Know what's working and what's not, and focus where it is. Being consistent. So, you know, if you've got a Facebook profile sitting out there and you've never posted anything on it, but it just sits there, start getting content on there, because you've only got to grab a couple of candidates a month or a client to make it really worthwhile. And it's something you just keep ticking away at these things and grow your brand. Regularly share content. People love interesting content that's going to help them be more successful. Use video, and we'll talk about that soon too, but it's really important to get your brand known in the World Wide Web. Just some stats, you know, 76.8% of the Australian marketplace between 16 to 64 are on Facebook. So it's a really broad, great demographic that you're probably trying to tap into. Things like lots of other ones here we can see, Instagram, but TikTok has just risen like straight up, and the demographic in TikTok is, you know, is a really good audience for people that you're looking to recruit. So, you know, think about other ways of getting your brand out there. It doesn't have to take very much time. You just need to start, you know, having a go. You with us, Rick?
I'm with you. I'm with you. So moving on to SEO tips and tricks, and I guess there's a lot of effort being put into SEO, but some of it is often lost because the people that that are used don't understand recruitment related SEO. So you can go down the path of, you know, spending a lot of money but not getting the amount of bang for your buck that you really deserve. And often is because they don't understand the platforms that need to underpin SEO, etc. So we've seen all sorts of real basket cases where they spend thousands of dollars on SEO, but they've got a Seek iframe. So, you know, they're spending all this money to build up a brand, and there's no jobs on the recruitment side. So obviously we've gone through a lot of things already, being, you know, have the right site architecture, have the jobs on your site, and Google My Business, etc. But here are some basic tips, and I won't read through all of them, but don't use slashes in your job titles, because Google and search engines read that as one big blob, and it just doesn't get searched properly. So, you know, there's some really interesting things there. Use significant keywords in your job title. Make sure that your jobs are added to your sitemap XML, which is the technical bit that Google picks up from your site, you know, hopefully every couple of days. Make sure that you have your recruitment consultants on your job pages so that they can be easily contacted. And avoid, you know, having abbreviations that mean nothing to search engines as well. So some basic tips here, but some very powerful ones. So another piece about the job pages that we've gone through before. So this is more about the job board as opposed to the job detail pages that we spoke about earlier. So a couple of key things here that are absolutely killers for your brand being search optimized. So iframe. So an iframe is a window within your site. So essentially, the example I gave you earlier was Seek. If you have a Seek iframe, what it essentially means, you're pulling jobs from Seek, putting it in the window on your site, and no one of the search engines will actually understand that you have those jobs. So iframes are a no-no. Link outs, typically they link out to an external URL of an ATS typically, so it will have nothing to do with your brand. So again, that's not a really good option for your job pages, or having a job board with very weird URLs that again make no sense at all. So, you know, it's very important you have those pages optimized. It is the biggest amount of free content that you can offer up to search engines. And on those pages, make sure that you obviously have the correct details as we've outlined here.
Yeah.
You go.
No, you go.
You go.
It's all you.
Okay. All right. The trends for 2022. So we've done a look around globally, what people are working on and what tends to be the trends. So AI will have a greater impact on SEO going forward. And it's the way people interact and, finding you easier online. So that's definitely an impact on SEO. Voice searches, we've covered that, but if you look at the graph of increased uses of voice, you can just see there's a very rapid increase in voice. So register yourself on those map platforms. It will make a big difference. And then accessibility. So mobile devices will continue to, if in developed countries, if it hadn't already reached a saturation point, it is the way people do it. We know people that have iPads and iPhones. They don't have computers anymore. So you need to make sure that you have very much clear ways that people can voice search and don't use a keyboard. So very much about accessibility. Furthering that SEO strategy, need to continue to use video. So video, YouTube is actually the biggest search engine used, and in some parts of the world, like the UK, it is by far the number one. So make sure when you do use video that you do have the same as your website, have a correct name, a correct description and keywords in your video channel, because if you don't have them, same as a job, you won't be found for that. Semantic search. So this is also change in the way search is done. So it's the way it searches is changing, which means that it looks through all the keywords that you've got and builds up a sort of a profile of that. And content was the number one to say content's king, but now it's more around, is your content proving for you to be an expert? Is it, are you authority and are you trustworthy? And that's where the Google My Business and everything is starting to be linked together, so that, if you have lots of 5-star reviews and you've got good blogs and you've got white papers, etc., you start to become, in Google's eyes, very much an authority in that space. So it's looking at all of the touch points in the web to build your profile.
Yep. And on your pages, you should have content on each of the pages, at least 600 to 800 words. And also now you should start writing your content like you're saying it, because that's going to help with those online voice searches as well. So where do you start? Like, there's a lot that we've gone through a lot here, and there's probably a lot of people feeling quite daunted. Be very careful handing your business marketing over to traditional marketing agencies. I'm sure they're very good at what they do, but unfortunately, in every instance we've seen, they don't understand the recruitment industry, which means you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. Fix your foundation. So we see a lot of people going and spending heaps of money on search engine optimization and pay-per-click advertising and other forms of advertising, but what they're driving that traffic back to is a website that's nothing more than a billboard in the desert. You need to make sure that the website is really that foundation that everything gets driven back to, and the user has the perfect experience. And the other tip, when you start doing this stuff, measure everything. Understand what's going on with your brand, understand your competitors, know what they're doing, and then there's lots of opportunities to hijack traffic that they might be getting that you want. So some of the tools. So there are a lot of tools that you can be using to measure and manage a lot of these things. There are now marketing dashboards that can allow you to multi-post to social media, click a button and see all your analytics and what's going on with your brand across the World Wide Web. Looks for your brand and see if it appears in the World Wide Web and it's incorrect. Search engines don't like it if your old address is appearing on another directory, because they don't know if that's the same company or not, or your phone number's wrong, or even a lot of cases we see the name is different, written differently on different platforms. You need to know about that. The marketing dashboards can now also ask for reviews on different platforms, and you can manage those reviews from one central point. So there's a lot of really cool things you can be doing now from a marketing perspective to make it easy. SEO audits. So once again, tools out there where you can see what your competitors are doing. You can run a marketing audit on your website, which will tell you the opportunities to make it better and fix any errors. It tells you how you're tracking, and I'll often spend, a couple of hours a fortnight, and I'll go through and look at, okay, how are my keywords going? Who also is appearing for those keywords? What can I do to be better than them? And get the insights from tools like this. It's really cool. Then the Google tools, the free ones, your Google Analytics and your Google Search Console, so you can manage and track everything and know what's going on with your brand and where people are coming from, so you can make smart decisions and not spend money where you don't need to. We do have 3 ebooks there if you are interested. On our website, you can go through and download those. There's a wealth of information in those around your website architecture, search engine optimization, and also search engine marketing. So do please go and grab those. Yeah, and that's pretty much a wrap. We are here, and we would love to help anyone who's got questions. We know that this is quite a daunting, group of things that you need to be doing to make your brand more successful online, but recruitment marketing is our passion, and here to help.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That was really great. Nice and short and sharp per the format, and I think you really packed it in with lots of information. I just wanted to let everyone know that it is being recorded, so we will have a copy of that and send that out to everybody. I'm sure there's going to be, I know I'll probably go back and pause on a few of those slides as well. I think the URL structure one is also interesting. It's not something that most people think about, but is actually quite important. It's a language of the web, right? So it's how you can kind of get the Google searches to understand what your page is all about. So I think that was really important as well. If anybody has questions as we sort of wrap up, please feel free to drop them in the comments as well, or alternatively, you can of course reach out to either Nicole or Rick and myself, or just the Encore email address, and we'll make sure that we get an answer to you as well. But thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to add in there as well some of the trends that you mentioned earlier about voice search. My 4-year-old uses voice search now. He's got the the phone, he's on YouTube, and he's like, pressing record and saying stuff. It's very cute, but this generation is coming up, and this is all just going to be normal to them. So the importance of having the digital presence and your website working the way that it should is definitely really important. So I'm glad that you guys could share that with us today. Yes, exactly. Just had a comment, no idea about the SEO headings as well. Didn't get it all down, and grateful that you'll send it out. Absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much again for all that information. I just wanted to also mention that we also have a special. So Shazamme is also offering 1 month free on their Shazamme platform, which is a very, very cool recruitment website builder. So please go ahead and check it out. I think it's awesome. It's like Canva, right? It's like Canva for websites, or Wix. If anybody knows about Wix, it's just drag and drop. It's very easy.
It's probably to mention too, to anyone who's still on here, that the new government initiative that's just come out for the budget as well. If anyone is interested in a website at all, every $100 you spend, you get to claim back 120 on your tax. So yeah, a bit of an incentive there for website technology.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Just a comment from Laura now as well. Would you be so kind as explaining voice search in a little bit more detail?
Yes, so a bit like what Nuam just went through. If you've got an Alexa, or your phone is an Apple, or and you speak to it and you say, find me a Italian restaurant in Mossman, it will then do a search and bring up all of the restaurants in Mossman, same as what Rick and I did. We were in we were in Brisbane and about to go to an event, and we thought, let's see how many recruiters come up when we do a voice search. So I got my Apple phone and Rick got his, and we said, hey Siri, find us a legal recruiter in Melbourne. And at that stage, I only brought up one legal recruiter. So it shows there's a lot of opportunities to that's for voice search. So that can be Google Home, Alexa. A lot of people are saying, find me a job. So voice search is all about speaking to a device and it returning you the insights and information.
I might add in there as well that I think you mentioned earlier just how human Google and these technologies and AI is becoming. That back in the day, it used to be that keywords was all about just like root keywords and how many did you have, and then just kind of watching that. But now it's a lot more human, and so having long tail keywords is also really important. So you're actually going, it's not just marketing jobs, it's marketing jobs in such and such or in such and such industry. And then the voice search on top of that is, how do people speak? Because it's different sometimes it's different to how you type. And so even just adding those kind of nuances to how somebody might actually talk to their phone versus what they might write, and having that in your copy is really important. Q&As
are actually very good. If you're down the bottom of the page, if it's an accounting jobs page, to put a Q&A where you're answering your own questions. Who's the best legal recruiter in Melbourne? Things like actually asking the questions within your copy in FAQs is often good. And on Google as well, you can ask questions in your own business profile and answer them yourself as well, which will help with potential searches too.
Yeah, that's really great. And I think we kind of at the 39-minute mark, so we're a minute off. I'm amazed we actually kept the time today, because there is a lot more to go through. I had a chat earlier with Nicole as well, and there is so much more that digital marketing covers. So if there's more that you guys had questions about, please let us know. We're also thinking of doing a part 2 to this and covering more to the extent of the website, but also other digital marketing platforms, and more diving into social media as well. So look out for that in your emails. We'll be organizing a second sort of follow-up one to dive deep into a bit more detail on that. So again, thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming with us on this journey and learning. Thanks, Nicole and Rick, for your time and for your expertise. And everybody have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.